What is up, Dynasty DNA Strand crew, and welcome back to another episode of the Dynasty DNA Roster Audit, episode 13. I'm your host, Wizz. Today, I'm joined by a special guest, currently on IR from the beatdown received from Ty on the Fantasy Feud. It's Muscles. What's going on, Muscles?
Not a whole lot. What's happening?
Oh, it's good. Nothing much. You rehabbing pretty well from the beatdown you took.
Yeah, just a little hangnail, but we'll get at it next week. He,
Absolutely.
he likes he likes to think he got me, but
I just got the Adam Shifter report that you're on IR, so I'm just reporting the news. So
I guess that means what, 6 weeks or something.
yeah, something like
What
that.
IR now? 4 weeks or 6 weeks? I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember, but man, hopefully your rehab goes well, and we can see you back on the feud soon.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll have to let TJ know I'm off 4 weeks. I'm sure you know,
Uh,
but yeah, we'll be back at her this week.
awesome, that's good to hear. But today we're gonna be going over CJeffers Roster. It's gonna be a Superflex tight end premium. The direction he wants to go into is it contention or contending. Uh, and anything else we should know before we go into his audit? He said he stupidly traded away his first during championship week for Cooper Cup to try to win it all, which he ended up coming second. Which I don't think that's stupid at all. And we're
No.
gonna be doing a video on this kind of soon, hopefully. Uh, kind of talking about what we do behind the scenes of these roster audits, so you guys can kind of get like a preview. And one of the things we're gonna be talking about is when you have a chance to go all in, you need to make that push to go all in. All in. And it doesn't always work out. Sometimes you get egg on your face, but that's all right. We're not perfect. So,
Yeah.
uh, at least you tried. And then what draft picks? I mean, it's over rookie season, but he drafted Bucky Irving the third, which boo! I need a little
Yeah.
sound
Yeah.
machine right there. But so on your screen, you'll see his roster right here. It's gonna be so overall, he has a pretty nice roster. He has Joe Burrow, Barkley, Jacobs, Devontae Adams, Brandon Ayuk, Trey McBride, Cooper Kupp, Devonta Smith, Evan Ingram, Tua to round out his starting lineup. And then once you go down, you kind of see it slowly gets a little bit thinner in depth. And that's
Yeah.
something we're going to be talking about today to help you kind of bolster your thing. And overall, I mean, you're kind of, I would say stuck is the correct word or terminology, but you're kind of you're kind of just wait and see what kind of happens during the season. What players are gonna pop up and become league winners? Like Gus Edwards was one last year. Joe Flacco, Brian Robinson had really good weeks as well. And you're kind of just waiting to see what kind of injuries also fall on your team. And unfortunately, you don't have that 24 first to use as ammunition, but you do have 25 seconds. So definitely hold on to those. Do not move those right now, C. Jeffers. So but the first trade we'll be going over is it's gonna be Sir Goatee. If I can find him here, where was he at?
Yeah. First, though, I'm in a couple leagues with C. Jeffers. He is a very active fantasy guy. He seems to always be sending out trades and stuff like that. He's a fun league mate.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm in
I'm,
a few with
I'm
him as well. So
yeah, I'm not in this one with him, but he is fun.
yeah, absolutely. But so for the first trade, it's gonna be with Sir Goatee, like I kind of mentioned before, and what I'm kind of leaning towards to add a little extra depth there is trading Devonta Smith for Calvin Ridley and Rasheed Rice, right? I mean, there is a couple question marks around there. I mean, we've seen Ridley have those peak games and then do absolutely nothing in other games. He had a buttload of targets in Jacksonville, and he just didn't really perform well. But he was a year off of playing football, right? I mean, people like to make that excuse, but now we're not using that excuse for Calvin Ridley. And he still finished as a wide receiver 3 or 2. I can't.
I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll look it up.
Yeah, but while you're looking that up, but he still was very startable in some weeks, and I think with Tennessee offense, with the brand new head coach coming in over from being the Bengals offense coordinator, it's going to open it up. I think Will Levis is going to take master strides this season, and there you're kind of just getting that number one target on that team. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is still there, but that's a 1 year left on his contract, and if Tennessee doesn't start out as hot as I guess they might move D Hop towards the trade deadline. So that's also something to keep a eye out for. And then Rashee Rice, I mean, he's still kind of a good buy. There's the looming suspension. What's going to come down? How many games is going to be? We don't know. We're kind of waiting and seeing. But you could buy him right now at prices, and if it's like a 4 game suspension, cool. You have Calvin Ridley to plug in for 4 weeks there, and you also have some other depth pieces in there. Even though it is a little bit shallower, you still have some depth to play with. So
Yeah, Ridley was wide receiver 18, so actually a little bit better than I thought.
yeah. So I mean, and that's with him having a bad season, right? Put that in quotations.
Right.
And coming back from over a year not playing football. So that's something to keep an eye on. What do you think about that trade, Muscles?
I actually like it. Like you said, I mean, people are quick to write off Rashee Rice, but I mean, he's what 21 years old, tied with Patrick Mahomes. It's like the absolute worst case scenario is he gets like an 8 game suspension. Big whoop. You make it to the playoffs, you're gonna have Rashee Rice. Like I don't know. Yeah, I don't get the discount right now. I really don't. So yeah, that's a great trade piece. I think in every league is to see what the price on Rashee Rice is, and then like you said with Ridley, I mean that's a bad year, quote unquote, and still wide receiver 18. Like I'll take that on my roster. So yeah, like you said with D Hop, and that offense should take a step forward. So if that offense in a whole takes a step forward, Ridley's in good hands, I think.
Absolutely. But you got the next trade for us there, Mus?
Yeah, so I was looking. This is a guy that I think everybody's pretty high on is Trey McBride, and I mean, I see you have him, but I see you have also Evan Ingram, and Evan Ingram obviously finished as tight end 2 last year. He's one of our screaming buys. Like he got 140 targets and such last week. Now I don't. Did we ever find out if this is tight end premium?
Yeah, it is a tight end premium league.
Okay, so it's tight end premium. So I would. This is a move you don't really have to make, but I feel like Trey McBride's value right now is kind of overly inflated, in my opinion, because like he kind of like came out of nowhere. He had a few good weeks, and now everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, Trey McBride's like the tight end 1, tight end 2, tight end 3, like in everybody's dynasty rankings." And I don't know. I don't know if I really see it now that they're bringing Marvin Harrison Jr. into town. Can Kyler Murray support both Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr.? We'll see. So I would look around to see if you could trade Trey McBride for like another positional player to try to get some advantage. One that I was looking at it's actually kind of crazy, but they actually went right beside each other in a startup that me and Wizz were just a part of. But that's Tyreek Hill. And that guy, Brick Wall, I don't think his tight end room's pretty weak. So that seems kind of crazy to me that you could maybe get Tyreek Hill, but they went right back to back in one of the startups we just did, right, Wiz?
Yeah, it was 2 picks away.
Yeah, 2 picks away. So I mean, even if you have to I wouldn't give a whole lot, but give very, very little, and you got Tyreek Hill then, and that's Tyreek Hill is an absolute difference maker in fantasy football. And we talked about it pre-show there. It's like everybody kind of is devaluing Tyreek Hill right now because supposedly he's retiring or whatnot. But with all this money being thrown around, it would be hard to walk away being probably a top 3 receiver in the league, knowing that you could get $30-35 million a year stay. So I don't see Tyreek Hill walking away, honestly, but it could happen. But Tyreek Hill is a difference maker, and being in the position you're in, I think you're going to need one of those difference makers. So if you could trade a Trey McBride, who, yeah, he's going to have a little bit of spike weeks and everything, but like Tyreek Hill has them 40-point weeks where like he could single handedly win you games. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of put this out on Twitter as well that my rankings right now for tight ends is Laporta in a tier by himself, right? I mean, he was tight end 1 last year. And then I have Kincaid and Bowers.
yeah,
After that's the
yeah,
tier, and then tier break again is McBride and Pitts.
yeah.
For me, I saw McBride. He got there with volume last year, and how much of that double digit targets is he going to be getting this year with Marvin Harrison Jr. there, and Michael Wilson's there, and hopefully he's gonna be healthy for the season. And he's no slouch, he's not the greatest. He didn't really perform that well, but he's still a guy that could take targets away. They brought in Zay Jones as well. It's another target to feed in that offense. Uh, so I have my questions around Trey McBride, and if he just does not perform like we were talking about pre-show, is he just gonna fall off the cliff in value? Like this is a guy that almost like a Justin Fields last season, where he was a first round startup pick, and now look at him like. It was a terrible suggested buy by me. I was buying him up. I bought in Justin Fields. That was a mistake. But, it kind of just came down that it was a risky gamble and it could went off either way. And I was just on the wrong side of it. So maybe I'm on the wrong side of it again. But to me, I'm trying to trade Trey McBride, move him for Kincaid, give a small plus. I paid a third to get up to Kincaid, even though some people have Trey McBride higher, but I personally prefer Kincaid over McBride. So
Yeah, and I mean, like we won't go into it too in depth, but like I said on the last show, I feel like it might not be this year, it might not be next year, but I feel like it's gonna come soon where the tight end position is kind of gonna be devalued as far as trade wise and everything, because like I just feel like there's so many tight ends now that can be not necessarily a difference maker, but like can actually be above serviceable. Like back in the day, you had your Andrews and Kelsey, and that was it. So everybody paid up for those tight ends. Now you have, I mean, like all them guys you just said, and then you have Kittle, and you have Goddard, and you have, I mean, tight end after tight end, and I mean, even go try to shop a tight end to somebody, and you see that they have a Luke Musgrave, and they're probably like, I'll just roll with Luke Musgrave, and he's probably not even like. I just feel like there is going to be a time in the next 2 years where like we're going to look at tight ends like we do quarterbacks back in the day in a one quarterback league. Like I'm sure you played in a bunch of one quarterback leagues, Wizz, and it was like you could have Justin Herbert and Pat Mahomes, and it was like trying to trade one of them was kind of tough because like somebody might have Derek Carr, and they're like, I'll just roll with Derek Carr, so it's hard to find value. It was basically, or trade for value is basically what I'm getting at.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's kind of I feel like that's the landscape right now, especially like wide receivers, like those wide receiver 2 to 3 tiers. Like it's just all one tier of like who's gonna outperform who. No one really knows, and they're all valued around the same. And then there's guys cheaper for no reason just because of name values. But I agree with that point that you were making, and I think it's a real good point, and it's kind of curious to see how it's going to play out in the next couple of years. So,
yeah.
But for our next trade, we're going over to Gonzo, and this is a lot of Trey McBride. So, CJeffers, if you're not wanting to trade Trey McBride, you're a big believer. Good for you. There's a lot of you guys out there. I'm not one of them, but a lot of these trades coming up here, rest them really. The rest of the 3 we got for you are Trey McBride trades. But going to Gonzo here, could we package Tua and McBride for Jordan Love and Mike Evans? CJeffers, TJ. TJ would be happy that I just pitched this trade right now. Like he's gonna see this video, he's like, "Good job, Wizz. That's what I would have done."
Yep.
And that's all kind of going back to playoff times. When does it get cold for football? That's when the fantasy playoffs start. When does Tua start to suck? When it gets cold outside. I'd rather just kind of not have to worry about that. Like, do I have to start Tua, Aaron Rodgers, or X, Y, and Z guy that I just picked up from the waivers that's now starting? I'd rather get that locked in Jordan Love, and then I'm also getting Mike Evans that's going to produce just about the same as McBride will produce, if not more. And that's kind of the way I see that trade. What do you think, Mus?
I'm actually looking up the Dolphins' schedule right now, but I like it. I like Tua. He can absolutely, like we talked about Tyreek, obviously he can absolutely win you games, but if you can get a more consistent quarterback, yeah, that's definitely. So week 17 is the only cold game that I really see as far as fantasy playoffs. So week 13, Tua has the Packers in Lambeau, but that's week 13. So that's like going into the playoffs. So that could be like a game that you absolutely need to win to get into the playoffs or something like that. He does go into Lambeau Field. But after that, he plays the Jets, and that is at home. And then he's at Houston week 15. Week 16, he's at home again against the 49ers. But week 17, he's going to be in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And I think week 17, I think's the fantasy, championship. So that would worry me. So absolutely. I mean, like we talked about, we always talk about pre-show and on the Dynasty DNA show and everything like that. It's like Tua disappears in these cold games. And I mean, whether he can work on that or whatever is yet to be, determined. So I agree. Trade him for consistency, and there's no better consistency than Mike Evans. Like, he's gonna put up 1,000 yards year after year, and Jordan Love showed that. I guess he's the real deal. He proved me wrong. I didn't think he was gonna be.
Yeah.
So I like that trade.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just kind of goes back to it. And it's kind of just like picking what your tolerance and your risk are. Uh, when I'm contending, I want to be as much as risk averse. Even though Rasheed Rice and Calvin Ridley, it might be a little bit of a risk there. But what the payout compared to Devonta Smith? I mean, Devonta Smith probably finished right around Calvin Ridley this past season. Um, I'd rather just get that locked in there, Jordan Love. Because, I mean, like you said, with Tua's schedule, I mean, it's the 49ers, top five defense, the Browns,
Yeah,
another
that's
top
a good
five
point.
defense.
Yep.
So,
That's a good point. I was just looking at the cold weather, but yeah, I didn't even think about defenses. Yeah, that's two tough defenses in that stretch. So that's the fantasy playoffs right there. So, and I mean, I wouldn't be opposed. I don't feel like Jordan Love's value could really go up a whole lot between now and like week 5. Like, even if he comes out and is quarterback 2 at week 5, I don't feel like his value is really going to spike really. So, like, maybe wait until Tua might put up a 40-point performance between now and week 5, and you can get that deal done. So
yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, you're also banking on McBride holding the tight end 2 value on most people's rankings. So, kind of like CJeffers is like, you don't need to make these moves right now. You could, like, sit back and kind of see what your team's going. Because, I mean, your league is filled up with juggernauts. And it's going to be
mhm.
an uphill battle of luck. It's going to be a lot of luck in
Yeah.
this league. And it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But you got the last 2 trades here, Moss?
Yeah, so I have another Trey McBride trade. This one's the Kivo 95, and it's Trey McBride traded for Jonathan Taylor. I mean, just gives you a little bit more running back depth. I have to look up who was his running backs off the top
It
of my
was
head.
Barkley, Jacobs, Singletary.
Okay, so Barkley and Jacobs are both going to new homes. We don't know. Obviously, they should still be dominant runners. I mean, they're great players, everything like that, but we just don't know how they fit the schemes or anything like that. The Eagles are always kind of a question mark to begin with because, they never really do. They run the ball a lot for some reason, but they never really put out a high, like DeAndre Swift would put up a 30-point game and then disappear for 4 games. And then he'd come out, put up another, it's just so how Barkley will run there, is yet to be determined. Barkley is Barkley. So I like that. But Josh Jacobs also never really could stay healthy other than,
That
his
one
contract
season.
year.
Yeah.
Yep. And that was a contract year. So um I don't know how much I liked them obviously that year. I had them in redraft, but like I just don't know how much I trust them long term. And the Packers did draft Marshawn Lloyd, who I'm not really a big fan of, and they still have Dylan. So it's like, how much of a committee are they going to do there and stuff like that. So kind of getting another dominant back, I feel like would really help out your roster. I mean, and this isn't a move I feel like you have to do. It could be a sit back and wait, like you kind of said. And if both of your running backs are taken off and you don't feel like you need it, then maybe don't pull it. But like if Barkley or Jacobs, if Jacobs does his thing where he has to miss 6 weeks due to a hamstring or something like that. And, like I said, it might be something you might want to do. But Devin Singletary, he like you said about Eric Gray, but Devin Singletary might find his way in New York too. You never know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, anything you want to add to that one?
I mean, just with Jonathan Taylor, I mean, Anthony Richardson's gonna be there, right? I know a lot of people are concerned about touchdowns getting poached, so like that. But it's kind of like Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, right? You have two elite rushers in the backfield, and you have to cover one of them each and every time. So I think it's
Yep.
gonna take a lot of distractions away. Jonathan Taylor's coming back healthy. He's got paid. He's gonna be happy. He's going to the camp, and I could just see him having that another top five, top three year this year. And I mean, for the value that you're kind of getting him at, which I mean, it is a lot of value to pay for him right now, which is like a third round startup pick, and that's what McBride's going for. But to me, I feel like he's pretty safe, and that's the guy I'm comfortable rolling with into the season. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. So, yeah. Any of the other trades?
Yeah, so the last trade we have is gonna be with Kosovo again, or
Oh wait, yeah,
Kevo.
I have that one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. So I have McBride for Christian Kirk, Najee Harris, and Raheem Mostert. So, yeah, I mean that's just kind of shoring up depth there. I mean that's just kind of a depth move. Christian Kirk, he's a frustrating player. I'll be the first to admit it. Like he is a great receiver. When he is on the field, I feel like he could. This might be a stretch, flirt with that wide receiver 12, wide receiver 14 number. But like he can just never stay on the field. But I'm just hoping for a good season out of him. And I feel like he is a very devalued front end wide receiver too. And then of course this might be a homer pick, but like Najee Harris, Arthur Smith's coming in. They're going to want to run the ball. They shored up that offensive line. And yeah, I just feel like they're going to push it. Now, it could be with Jalen Warren. He is probably going to be the thorn to Najee. But I don't know. I feel like that's a great gamble. And then obviously Mostert just kind of came out of nowhere last year. And, obviously he was a league winner. But as far as, the trade calculator for keep trade cut, I think that's what you use, right? And that one
yep.
came out even. So
Yeah, and it's kind of just adding more depth to your team, like you said. Raheem Mostert. I mean, he flashed. He was a league winner last year, and you're getting him for dirt cheap in startups, which I wish I would have invested more in Raheem Mostert. Just the problem is he was never able to stay healthy
yeah,
in the beginning throughout his career with the 49ers and stuff like that. But he was able to stay healthy this season, so let's buy into that. And I mean, he is an older running back, so that's why his value is so cheap. But we've seen what his ceiling is on his games. He could put up those 50-point games. It's just he's just more of a warm weather kind of guy with Tua. If Tua's on,
yep.
then the whole offense is going to eat. But I just think he's an excellent depth piece going down the roster. So.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, obviously, A Chain. I mean, we like his, obviously potential and everything, but he can't. He's a small dude. I mean, he can't carry a workload, or if they do depend on him too much, it seems like he can't really stay healthy. So, I think Mostert might be the guy there
Yeah, and I mean they
for the
brought
most
Jalen
part.
Wright in there as well, and I think
Yep.
that's more of a insurance policy for Moser if he gets banged up or hurt. But I don't think
Yep.
Wright could really take the workload either. He's kind of a smaller dude, and he never had that workload in college at Tennessee. But overall, C. Jeffers, I think your roster is really great. It's just the problem is your league is very top heavy. You have 3 to 4 other teams that I wouldn't be surprised if you told me this guy won, I'd be like, yeah, I could see that coming. Like all these
Yep.
teams are really good at the top, and you're one of those teams that are really good at the top. Just be patient right now. Try not to move those seconds that you have on your roster. Just kind of wait, see how the season plays out. These are some moves that we would suggest to make. You don't have to make those moves. There might be some other trades that come down the line. I know you're an active member in our Discord. I see you in there a decent amount posting those questions, which we appreciate you being active in the Discord and joining the Discord in the first place. And we're here to answer those questions. Uh, but I mean, overall, I mean, your roster's really good. I don't think that was stupid of you trading your first. And it
No.
was the 111. So I mean, that was Lad. I mean, Lad McConkey. I love him. But you have Cooper Cup, and those guys are gonna finish. I mean, Cooper Cup is probably gonna finish a little bit higher than the Lad, even though I'm a big Lad guy. But
Right.
I mean, just overall, C Jeffers. Just go back over these trades. The first trade we suggest was Sir Goatee, which was Devonta Smith and Calvin Ridley for Rushy Rice, and then we're going over to Brickwall Bill McBride for for Tyreek Hill, and then Gonzo in 1992, Tua McBride for Jordan Love, Mike Evans, and then we have Kevo 95 McBride Taylor for Jonathan Taylor, McBride for Christian Kirk, Najee Harris, and Raheem Mostert. So those are the 5 trades we recommend for you to make right now. Just kidding. You don't have to make them right now. You could really wait. I was just trying to drive it home there. Uh,
Yep.
but of course, I mean, there's gonna be private counters in there. Just shoot that up in the Discord. We're here to help you. And for you guys watching that want to join the Discord, you go ahead and join our Discord. Well, first, go to Twitter at Dynasty DNA _. The Discord link is in the description up there. And while you're on Twitter, go ahead and give me a follow at Dynasty Wiz FF. And then go give Dynasty DNA Muss a follow at Dynasty DNA Muss. Uh, but I think that's it for the show. If you guys want a roster submission, it's going to be down in the Discord. There's a Google Forms link for you guys to fill out. We are now in single digits. We're at 8, I think, right now. We
Okay.
are finally clearing out the queue. Sorry for some of you guys who have been waiting for a while. And hopefully those videos helped when they came out. But yeah, this is 100% free, guys. Discord's 100% free. You get access to a bunch of stuff. We have a lot of things coming down the pipeline for the future for the Discord that we're excited about, and we're just kind of figuring out as we go best way to do them, execute them, stuff like that. So, but this is it for the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. Until the next one.
See ya.